Transitional words and phrases. Remember, we're talking about today the words that you're going to be using between paragraphs when you write your paper. So these are the words and phrases that you will link, that will be used to link the ideas from one paragraph to the ideas of another paragraph. Transitional words and phrases. Transitions in writing take place when the writer and the reader, they take the writer and the reader from one place to another. They also indicate logical relationship between where you have been in the reading and where you are going to go. So it also indicates to a person, it signals to the reader, this is where I was, and guess what? Here's where I'm coming in the future. Okay? Transitional words and phrases are like signposts, in other words, signals like a stop sign or a semáforo, a go sign, that help lead the reader through an essay or a paper. Although your paragraphs have to be self-contained, meaning that each paragraph has to contain its own information, every paragraph must be kind of like a puzzle. They have to interlock. You know, each puzzle piece can be its own little part and have its own colors and its own designs, but in order to have the whole puzzle be one unit, it has to interlock. And the same thing is true with your paragraphs. Each of your paragraphs has to be its own self-contained little unit, but they also have to be able to lock together just like a puzzle piece does. Okay? Transitions both between and within paragraphs are essential because they tell the reader, okay, for example, when you're writing your counter-argument paragraph, you might want to say, however, which indicates, listen, I was talking about this subject, but I'm going to give you something that's completely opposite from what I was saying before. Or you could say, nevertheless, that's, again, signals to the reader, I'm going to say something completely opposite from what I was saying before. Simple words such as however, in addition, for example, although, whereas, and finally, tie sentences together effectively. The simplest transitions you already know is fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. These are the simplest transitions because they're conjunctions. They link words together. They can also link paragraphs together. For example, when you use the word so, you are saying, here's something that we can conclude from what I was just saying. When you use the word or, you are saying, here's another possibility. The most commonly used coordinating conjunction and is also the weakest in terms of meaning of the meaning it conveys, indicating here's something else. Okay? So or are much more powerful than the word and. Coordinating conjunctions do act as transitions, but they are not enough to give an essay a strong sense of cohesion. In other words, coordinating conjunctions, your fanboy words, are not enough, they're not good enough words to use as transition words. Frankly, I would try to avoid using them as transition words. Use them within sentences, of course, but to transition from one paragraph to another or one idea to another, I would use different words. Because transitional words and phrases show logical relationships between sentences and ideas, they are often organized according to the kinds of relationships they convey. So, I've got a whole list of these that you guys, frankly, you guys should keep looking at this over and over again because these have really good transitional words and phrases. So we're going to go just through a couple of these, but I've got 2 slides of these for you guys to look at. So for example, to give an example, for example, or for instance, or such as, or specifically. To show cause and effect. My cat was calling me. Therefore, she meowed, resulting in me talking about my cat during your video. To show contrast, nevertheless, however, but on the other hand, to show similarity. Likewise, my dogs are all crowding around me because I am eating peanut butter and pretzels. My cat likes the peanut butter. Likewise, my dogs like the peanut butter. To concede. To acknowledge. To concede means to acknowledge somebody's argument. I concede that you're right. That means, yeah, I acknowledge that you're right. So you say, although, even though. For example, if you were going to be arguing about whether or not a person should have the ability to drive at age 16. Although many people say that teenage drivers are less responsible, right? Do you hear that? Although, that means that many people say that, and you're acknowledging that many people say that. To elaborate means to go into further detail. In addition, moreover, not only does my cat love peanut butter and pretzels, additionally, all 3 of my dogs love peanut butter and pretzels. Some more words and phrases. To emphasize, to make sure that people really understand how important something is. To restate something, to give it emphasis, to restate it, and to indicate time or to conclude. So these are a whole bunch of words and transitional phrases. You should look through this again and again and again. You might want to even pause the video, go back and copy some of these words down. All right, you might be surprised by how much the effective use of transitional words and phrases can strengthen your writing. Transitions, like I've said before, are kind of like puzzle pieces. They act as glue that helps hold your ideas, your sentences, and your paragraphs together. They can help take you and your readers smoothly and logically from one idea or one part of your essay to the next part of your essay. All right, let's look at some examples. Here's the original sentence. Succeeding in college often is a challenge for students. Most colleges provide services designed to help students. They include peer tutoring and personal counseling. Colleges need to provide more services to help students succeed. Okay, so that's the original sentence. Let's look at the next sentence with transitions. Succeeding in college often is a challenge for students. Therefore, most colleges provide services designed to help students. Therefore, acts as, look at this. This is an example. Such as, and it's going into further example, such as peer tutoring and personal counseling. However, now we're doing a contrast. However, colleges need to do more to help students succeed. Makes a huge difference in how that reads. All right, 2 problems to avoid. Make sure that your connections are as clear as you use transitions. So let's look at the first sentence. George's wife stands at the window and looks out at the rain falling on the empty streets. For example, she sees a cat huddled under a table in the rain. For example, does not make any sense here. Because the woman is not seeing the cat as an example of anything. We're talking about rain falling on an empty street, and for example, she sees a cat. Doesn't even make any logical sense. What would make sense would be George's wife stands at the window, looks out at the rain falling on the empty streets. For example, she sees lots of people walking by with umbrellas. Okay? That would make much more logical sense. Seeing a cat huddled under a table in the rain has nothing to do with rain. Okay, next one. George's wife decides to go out into the rain to get the cat. Consequently, George sits in bed reading his book. Consequently is a transition that tells the reader that as a result of George's wife getting the cat, George is going to do X. Well, why would George sit on the bed because his wife went out to get the cat? That makes no sense at all. So consequently does not make any sense here because it's unclear how George sitting in the bed is a consequence of the woman deciding to get the cat. So make sure your transitions are clear. Make sure you're using the correct transition at the correct place. Avoid errors that occur with the use of transitions. A sentence fragment, as you all should know, is a sentence that doesn't have a subject or it could not have a predicate. So here we go. Here's the sentence fragment. Resulting in the woman's search for companionship elsewhere. We have no idea what this sentence is about because we don't know what the subject is. We don't even know what the verb is. It's just resulting in the woman's search for companionship elsewhere. Okay. So the corrected sentence is, George seems to ignore his wife, resulting in the woman's search for companionship elsewhere. Aha! So because he ignores his wife is looking for a little boyfriend action on the side, it seems like. Avoid errors that can occur with the use of transitions. One's a comma splice, meaning joining two sentences together using a comma, which should never happen. The woman sees the cat out in the rain. However, the cat is gone by the time the woman goes outside. And you notice that there are two sentences joined by a comma. That's a comma splice. You shouldn't use that. So let's look at the corrected sentence. The woman sees the cat out in the rain, semicolon, because the semicolon, as we know, acts as a conjunction. The woman sees the cat out in the rain, semicolon. However, the cat is gone by the time the woman goes outside. Perfect.